Welcome to Talking to the Walls podcast. I'm your host, Giovanna, and today's episode is going to be all about self-love. Now, self-love in this generation can mean a lot of different things. My definition of self-love is loving yourself unconditionally. It's not necessarily feeling perfect 24/7 because, like me, that seems just unrealistic. Self-love is coming to accept who you are, who you were in the past, and who you are becoming. It's accepting yourself and loving yourself for all that you've done and all that you are going to do. It's also accepting and loving all the changes you've gone through since when you were younger, both physically and mentally, up until present day today. An example of this could be for me personally after high school. Due to my anxiety and the fear of the unknown and what college would be like, I ended up gaining a lot of weight. This was also a healthy weight I gained because in high school, whether a lot of people at that time knew it or not, I was under eating and restricting myself due to feeling pressure from the peers that were around me to have to look a certain way to be defined as beautiful. But that's going to be a topic for another episode. But looking back and going through those times, it was very frustrating because comparing myself to who I was when I had a faster metabolism, as well as when I was under eating, compared to when I was being healthy and enjoying life and being myself, and even, going through depression when I did move away from my family, when I went to a college that was like 2 hours away from my hometown. I struggled a lot, and as a result, I ended up gaining some weight. It was a very tough time for me mentally. However, I still loved myself. I was not one to put myself down during those tough times. I would look in the mirror, put on makeup if I wanted to that day, and I would remember why I loved being the person I was, why I was thankful I had my long hair, short hair, or why I was thankful to have the curves and in all the right places and, just being who I was both mentally and physically. I grew a lot throughout the years, and I continue to grow as I sit here talking to you guys. And my self-love journey, it fluctuates. It's not, it's not high and low. It's up and down. It's like a little wave. And so I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate if you are on your self-love journey. If not, I strongly encourage you to look at yourself in the mirror today and just tell yourself that you are beautiful and that you are worthy and that you will accomplish anything and everything you set your mind to, because you are worthy of those dreams. Those dreams are not unattainable. You are worthy of everything, and don't let other people tell you different. I just want to put that out there because you guys are so amazing, and I'm so thankful for each and every one of you. You matter in this world. You do. You are loved. I love you. But going back to the episode, so there was a lot of times where I would feel bad, depression hits hard, and there were days where I didn't even want to look in the mirror. And I know sometimes I would alternate. Instead of going for my crop tops that I love to wear, I would wear a baggy hoodie and some leggings. Or I would choose not to go out with my friends, or if I did, I would try to wear something that I felt comfortable in, something that wouldn't draw so much attention to myself, because that was a day where I didn't really feel like I wanted people to notice me, Self-love isn't just looking and caring for your body. It's not just, an act of self-love actually can literally just be eating healthy, making a healthier choice. Why? Because you feel your body deserves to be healthy. You deserve to have a healthy body in this lifetime. Another act of self-love could literally be just as simple as saying no. You don't feel comfortable hanging out with someone, say no. I don't really feel like going out tonight and eating pizza. I just want to stay home and, relax. I haven't had time for myself this week. Just say no. That simple action, that itself, saying no, is an act of self-love. Saying no when you don't feel like going out or doing something for someone, no one owes you anything. At the end of the day, do whatever you would like to do, especially if you don't feel comfortable or you just simply want to take time for yourself, because taking time for yourself and saying no, that's an act of self-love, as I mentioned before. Going off the idea of saying no is placing boundaries. Boundaries is such a big thing in terms of self-love. I mainly say this because sometimes people, which I was one of them, I'm calling myself out, I was one of these people where I didn't really know how to assert my boundaries without seeming like a butt, like without seeming like an asshole, to put it in simple terms. Sorry for my French. Hopefully my mom's not listening. But if I didn't assert my boundaries, if I didn't show people that I could be an asshole if I wanted to be, definitely caused me a lot of headaches and heartbreaks, because it allowed people to think it was an open invitation to have field day with my ability in always being there for people, for always helping you out if you needed a favor, for always saying yes, for being a good person, because I am one to have a big heart. Like, I'm not one to turn away someone just to turn away someone. However, through these experiences, I learned that you can't always say yes to everyone, because if you say yes to everyone every single time they ask, they will start expecting that from you. And when they start expecting that from you, the moment you can't and you don't want to say yes because something happens, they completely make a big deal. Like, it's like a bar scene and they start throwing bottles at you just because you told them you don't want to drink or something, something ridiculous. They start to cause a scene out of nothing, and they start to use guilt to guilt trip you and make you feel bad that you say no. Asserting your boundaries, saying no when you don't feel comfortable, and telling people you have boundaries, like, hey buddy, you can't walk all over me, that's a big deal. And that's a big act of self-love that I didn't realize until I was having a conversation with one of my friends that will later make a guest appearance on this podcast. And you know what? Some of the worst things that can be when you try to assert your boundaries is sometimes you have people in your circle, your very group of friends, actually. I had some pretty toxic friends, not gonna lie, in high school. One of them was a guy friend of mine, and I thought I could trust him. I really did, until one day when I walked in, I confided on him, and when I walk into, I remember my biology room, my AP bio class, to finish doing some homework or something during lunch, I remember this guy, old guy friend of mine, spilling my secrets that I had confided in him to somebody else that did not like me, somebody that was clearly jealous of me, someone who always had a problem, a bone to pick with me. And out of all the people, this person knew that this person, my guy friend, knew that this person would always do whatever they could do to purposely come at me and almost hurt my feelings on purpose. So sometimes asserting your boundaries, especially with your friends, you need to do, because sometimes these people will begin to expect things that you don't feel comfortable sharing. And if you don't feel comfortable sharing, don't share it. It's not their damn business. If you want to tell people about your love life, tell them. If you don't, and they're making you feel pressured to, screw them. You don't need people like that. And that too is an act of self-love, because as I mentioned previously, that's asserting your boundaries. And boundaries are very important. And you don't need toxic people like this old guy friend of mine to be in your life, because in the journey of self-love, you will quickly realize that people around you, you'll quickly realize the toxic people that you might have surrounding you. Because the more you begin to embrace not only your spirit, your mind, and your physical body, these people will start to see the glow of happiness, both within inside of you coming out. The happiness you feel inside will start to spill out and make you glow like you're untouchable. And so when people begin to see this, people start to question, oh my God, you've changed. Oh my God, you used to be nicer back then. Oh my God, what happened to you? Oh my God, I think she's she got Botox or something. Like, no, I didn't do anything. I just cut out the negative people, and people will begin to talk. The more you begin to respect yourself and you begin to respect your time, and you start to see, hey, is Juliet really worth my time? Or is she someone who constantly compares me to her and always puts me down? If she puts me down, I don't want to be her friend anymore. I need people who uplift me, who they don't have to see things the same way I do, but people who actually make me feel good when I hang around them. You don't want to hang around someone who's constantly putting you down, making you feel bad because you don't weigh as much as they do. You don't look the same way they do. You don't talk and know as much as they do. Ew, screw that. You don't need people like that. If anything, the right people, your right friendships will come to you, and you'll meet each other because it'll just click, And that's how I met two of my best friends, Ariana, which you'll meet in a later episode, as I mentioned previously, and my other best friend, McKenna. We just clicked from the moment we met each other. And I never ever felt like they were jealous of me or like I was being compared to. We've never done that with one another. But I've had to cut out a decent amount of people who would do that with me, who would make me feel bad about my body, who made me feel like shit because I gained weight in high school, who made me feel bad because my grades slipped because of my depression, because I wasn't the same perfect high school nerdy girl who the only thing she liked to do was study because she didn't feel comfortable with who she was, because who I thought I was in high school was not good enough. And boy, was I wrong, because now I look at myself in the mirror and I realize what a beautiful person I am inside out, and this confidence I have right now talking to you guys, this took a decent amount of time to build. Like, yes, I was always confident in my ability because my mom always told me, and you've probably heard the saying a lot too, but my mom as a child told me, Giovanna, if you don't love yourself, who's going to love you? And, I used to hear that all the time as a kid and I used to hate it. But now that I'm an adult, I completely understand. Like, if you don't respect yourself, if you don't love yourself, if you don't protect yourself and fight for who you are and what you want to do and what you want to become, if you don't have discipline to get to where you want to be, if you don't do all these things for yourself, who's going to do it for you? No one's going to do it for you. So I don't know, every time I hear that saying, it just reminds me that, you're right. Like, I don't need to find love in somebody else because I already have enough love inside of me, And it's tricky to get your mind to think that you are good enough. It is, because we live in a society where we're constantly being told by the media, by the news outlets, by social media, especially social media, that our skin sucks, that our personality is too dry, that we're too prude if we don't feel like engaging in sex, or if we do like sex and we openly talk about sex, then we're a whore, and it's just very controversial. And, if you aren't a size 2, then you're obese. And if you aren't slim thick, then we don't want you. There's so many like controversial topics out there and contradicting topics that, people, like girls against girls start to like come at each other and start to attack each other with like claws, and it's sad because when you see someone attacking someone else, especially on social media, for me, that just to me says that they don't have enough self-love. Because if you truly loved yourself, you don't need to look at someone else and compare their self-worth, because that's not on you, that's on them. You don't have to assign somebody a worth, because that's not your job. Your job is to know how much you are worth. And if other people can't see how much you are worth and acknowledge it, then you don't need them. You don't need to beg someone to be in your life. You don't need to beg someone and persuade someone to see you in a certain way. People will choose to see you how they want to see you. And you know what? You have to deal with it. You have to live with it. You have to accept it and move on. Now, you don't have to accept their opinions of you. There is a great quote that says, "What you think of me is none of my business," and I stand by it. You don't need to associate yourself with what people think of you. The thing that matters the most to you is your mentality, like what you think of yourself. If you don't think you're good enough, what is good enough for you. You know, if I ask myself what is good enough for me, I will tell myself I have to get into medical school because I want to get into medical school. Because that for me is like the greatest accomplishment yet, right? But other people might look at themselves and, for example, my cousin was not happy with her body. She would look at her body, especially her boobs. She would look at her body and she'd be like, I can't stand myself. Like, I look ugly. Like, when I get my boob job, I will finally look pretty. And you know what? She got her boob job because that was something she's always wanted. And now she's like the happiest person. Now, I'm not saying you have to have cosmetic surgery to feel happy. But what I am saying is do whatever you need to do in order to make yourself happy. If you like putting on makeup, go for it. I love makeup. Makeup is beautiful. And if people can't stand that, then you know what? Let them walk out of your life. You don't need people like that, you know? And if you don't like wearing makeup, okay, cool. Like, embrace your natural skin, you beautiful person. Like, either way, you guys are all beautiful. And you guys all deserve to see just how beautiful you are, both inside and out, you know? And if you can't see if you can't begin your self-love journey because you're too scared to see how great you are, don't be scared. You know, do one thing at a time. Do one thing out of your comfort zone. You know, look at yourself in the mirror every day and just say one thing. Tell yourself that you are beautiful and that you are worthy of love, because you are beautiful and you are worthy of love. And listen, I know this might sound silly, but it's so true. The more you repeat those little words, which are called affirmations, the more you repeat it and affirm it, is the more you will begin to believe it, to the point where you will start to have all this confidence that you don't even know where it came from. You'll be like, oh my God, like, people say stuff and it doesn't faze me the way it used to. And you know what? That's showing you how much progress and how much growth you have, because you began to, like, you know, love yourself. And I'm proud of you if that's you right now, because I know for sure that's me. You know, self-love, as I mentioned before, the journey fluctuates. Some days you have really good days, you know, really high highs, and then sometimes you have really bad days and it's really low lows where you don't want to see anyone, you don't want to go on social media, you feel like you're a piece of shit. And you know, we all have them because we're human, and that's okay. You know, people on Instagram and social media is a highlight reel. You don't see people when they're depressed, or when they feel like a potato, or when they're crying because they're under so much stress from pursuing, you know, whatever career and field they're in, whatever job they're in, that they're working their asses off. You don't see all the stress and all the comparisons they make in their head, because, you know, the grass is always greener on the other side. But, you know, I choose to see the grass is greener where you water it. My grass is green because I water it with love. And I know that sounds cheesy, but it's so true, you know. And social media, you won't see the, you know, fit inspo girls, or just people in general, you know, the little Insta models. You won't see them post about them crying and being depressed and having bad days and how much they wish they look like somebody else, you know, because they're not going to do that, because they have so many people who are already like envious of them. The moment they show that they too aren't satisfied with themselves, what is that going to say? People are going to attack them and be like, oh no, what are you talking about? You're beautiful. I wish I had your body. Like, shut the hell up. Like, you should be grateful for the body you have. But again, we're in that scenario where the grass is always greener, you know, on the other side. Like, you could have a small waist and you could want a bigger one, and vice versa. Like, you could have straight hair and your friend has curly, and you, like, your friend wants your straight hair and you want their curly hair. Like, no one is ever satisfied with what with what we have, my bad, and what we were born to have, because we're always told that whatever we have is never good enough. And, you know, on the journey of self-love, acknowledging that what we do have is enough, and what we do have is better than anything else we could ever, you know, get from something else, you know, gives you this power in knowing, you know what, I have this confidence, I have this love, and I don't want to give all my love away to someone, because someone could just take it and throw that shit away and hurt my feelings and disappoint me. You know, why put those expectations and that trust into someone else when I could just build myself up and keep myself from falling down into the wrong hands, you know? And it's so true. Like, I'd rather give myself all the love in the world than to give it to someone else who could hurt me with their words and, hurt me really deeply and bruise me so that when they walk away, I don't believe that I'm beautiful. I'd rather tell myself I'm beautiful, take myself on dates, which I highly recommend because it's amazing. Go get some sushi, go get some pasta. Oh, I love pasta. Go get some food, treat yourself, and have a good day. A good little date like that is an amazing step in your self-love journey because you're taking the time to detox, to just focus on you and your thoughts. And if you can't do that for a long time, that's okay. Just do it for a little bit. A little bit goes a long way. And the fact that you're starting says a lot. And again, I just want to say that self-love is not linear at all. People make it seem like it is on social media. But again, social media is just a highlight reel. It's not realistic at all. So please don't get your information from there. But yeah, and the worst part is that comparison kills progress. So don't ever compare yourself to your next door neighbor or people you went to high school with and how you feel like, oh, I was in my prime when I was 16. No, sweetie, you were not in your prime when you were 16, okay? Because I promise you, life only gets better and better and better. And the more you think of it like that, the more you begin to look forward to each and every day and make the most of each day. Because you're only as young as you will be today. You will only be able to go so far with each and every day. Like, the more you do and the more you build towards doing stuff you love, the more happiness you're going to feel. Self-love could literally just be singing in the shower because you had a stressful day and you want time to yourself. But self-love is not allowing other people to walk all over you and make you feel like shit just because it makes them feel better. Don't stand for that. You deserve to be respected and loved and honored. And if people can't do that, if people can't respect you, if people can't respect your time and effort you put into things, I don't know what to tell you besides walk away from them, because again, those people suck and you don't need to waste any more time with those people, because if you need help, those people are surely not going to help you. If anything, those people will do everything in their best interest to make sure you fall behind and you stay behind them so that they can always make you feel bad that you are not them. And we don't need to put up with shit like that. We only have one life. YOLO. We don't need to be second best in our own eyes. Hell no, baby. We need to be number one and number one only for us. And if we're not number one yet, that's okay. We're getting there. It's just about the progress and, the journey itself. It's not always about the views. You don't always have to look good in a bikini. Shit, I feel like I don't even look good in a bikini sometimes. But then again, self-love is working on that. I will look at myself in the bikini, even if I'm bloated, and I'll be like, you know what? I have a cute little belly. No one is me. And that is your superpower, is that no one will ever be you. No one will ever see things the way you do. No one will ever tell a joke the way you do. No one will ever smile and tell me how cool I am the way you do. And that very reason is the reason why I love you. I think you guys are so cool. Thank you so much for joining me on today's podcast episode where we talk about self-love and all its beautiful gloriousness, So if you guys have any cool topics you'd like me to talk about or further expand upon, please send me a message on talkingtothewallspodcast@gmail.com, or feel free to follow our Instagram page at talkingtothewallspodcast and send me a cute little DM, and I'll be happy to reply and respond to you guys and talk about those topics and maybe even give you a little shout out. I love you guys so much. Again, you are worthy and you are loved because I love you guys so much.